For decades, we've been talking about one of the biggest challenges in education, teacher burnout. But what if the answer wasn't another new policy or a different curriculum? What if it was a digital assistant powered by AI? Is this just more tech hype, or could this actually be the key to giving teachers back their most valuable resource, their time?
So to really get why AI is even in this conversation, we have to start with the problem it's supposed to solve. And that problem is huge. We're in the middle of a massive teacher time crunch, where educators are being stretched thinner than ever before, and it's leading to exhaustion and burnout on a scale we've never seen.
And look, this isn't just some abstract professional issue, it is deeply, deeply personal. Just read that quote. A lifelong passion for teaching, slowly just worn away over 30 years by the sheer weight of the job. That is the reality for so many educators right now. So where does all that time even go? Well, get this. Research shows teachers can spend up to 29 hours a week on tasks that aren't actually teaching. 29 hours. I mean, think about that. That's basically another full-time job piled on top of their actual full-time job.
Yeah, it's all the stuff that happens after the bell rings, right? It's the lesson planning, the grading, the endless stream of parent emails, and all that administrative paperwork. This is the work that bleeds into nights and weekends, and it's what has so many teachers desperately looking for a way to get some of their time back.
And that right there is where AI enters the picture. Not as some sci-fi robot that's going to replace teachers, but as a really practical tool that thousands are already using to manage that insane workload. It's probably better to think of it less as artificial intelligence and more as a digital assistant.
So how does it actually work? Well, it all starts with something called a prompt. A teacher just gives a clear, simple instruction to an AI tool. Could be ChatGPT, could be a special education platform. They can ask it to whip up anything from a lesson plan on photosynthesis to a quiz or even a professional email. And they get a draft back in seconds.
And the results? Well, they're starting to show up in the data. A big national survey from the Gallup-Walton Family Foundation found that teachers who use these AI tools at least once a week are saving, on average, 5.9 hours every single week.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. 5.9 hours a week? Okay, that's nice, but you have to stretch that out over an entire school year. When you do the math, it adds up to the equivalent of getting 6 full weeks of your life back. 6 weeks! That is an absolute game changer.
Okay, so what does this actually look like in the real world? What are teachers really doing with all this newfound time and technology? Let's take a look at how AI is being put to work in classrooms right now.
I mean, the uses are all over the map. Teachers are generating entire lesson plans from scratch, brainstorming fun new activities, and drafting all sorts of communications. But honestly, two of the most powerful uses are differentiating instruction for students at all different levels and generating really specific, personalized feedback.
Let's talk about differentiation, for example, because this is a huge one. A teacher can take a piece of text that's written at a 10th grade level, feed it to an AI, and with one simple prompt, get back a version that's totally rewritten for a 5th grade reading level. A task like that used to take hours of manual work. Now, it can be done in minutes. It makes these complex ideas accessible to every single student in the room.
Or how about another huge time sink? Parent emails. This is brilliant. A teacher can just jot down a few bullet points about a student, tell the AI to keep the tone professional and helpful, and boom, the AI drafts the entire email. The teacher just has to give it a quick read, personalize it, and hit send. It turns a task that could take 20 agonizing minutes into a quick 2-minute review.
Okay, so it all sounds pretty great, right? A magic time-saving tool. But of course, this picture of seamless efficiency is not the whole story. The rise of AI in the classroom has also sparked some really fierce debate, a lot of skepticism, and some very real hurdles.
For starters, let's be real. This is hardly a universal revolution. Not yet, anyway. The data shows that a full 40% of K-12 teachers aren't using AI at all. That means for every 3 teachers who are using it, there are 2 who just aren't. Adoption is definitely growing, but there's a huge group of educators who are either hesitant, skeptical, or maybe they just haven't been given the tools and training to even get started. And, for many who have tried it, the whole experience has been just deeply frustrating. A common complaint you hear is that if the AI's output is generic or just plain wrong, they end up spending more time fixing its mistakes than if they had just done it themselves from the start. The quality of your prompt and the tool you're using makes all the difference in the world.
But honestly, the biggest hurdle, the one that completely dominates almost every conversation about AI in schools, is cheating. There's this very real fear that while teachers are using AI to save time, students are just using it to avoid learning altogether.
And this really gets us to the absolute heart of the whole debate, right? Is it hypocritical for a teacher to use AI to build an assignment and then turn around and forbid their students from using AI to complete it?
Well, the most common counterargument you'll hear from educators is that it all comes down to intent. A teacher's job is to instruct. They've already mastered the material, and they're just using AI as a tool to deliver that knowledge more effectively. A student's job, on the other hand, is to learn and then prove that they understand the material. So in this view, the user's fundamental goal is what makes all the difference.
So, where does all this leave us? After the hype, the hurdles, and the very human debates, what does this technology ultimately mean for the future of teaching and for the role of a teacher?
Look, the optimistic vision here is pretty clear. AI isn't here to replace educators. It's here to handle all the repetitive, administrative grunt work that bogs them down. The real goal is to free up teachers to focus on the uniquely human parts of the job, the mentorship, the one-on-one support, and the personal connections that actually inspire a kid to learn.
And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. If AI can increasingly handle the what of teaching, the lesson plans, the materials, the grading, how does that change the who we need in the classroom? It really points to a future where a teacher's greatest value isn't just being an expert in their subject, but being an expert in human connection.